Well, hey guys, welcome to Certainty for Uncertain Times. My name is Lauren, and if you are on this channel, then you know it is all about helping you navigate through the chaos, the clown world, and the dumpster fire that we all find ourselves living in days through the lens of the Bible, but also while connecting the most crucial dots to Bible prophecy because it is happening in and around you, whether you believe it or not. And if you are wanting to dive a whole lot deeper into the Bible's prophetic puzzle pieces, then guess what? I'm going to ask that you would smash that like button, you would share this video, you would subscribe to the channel, and be here to learn because so much is going on right now. And today I am so excited about the episode of Voices of Certainty that we are on today. I know a lot of you guys have been waiting for Marzulli to come on, and he is here. But before we get to that, a couple of quick announcements. First things first, don't skip out on that description box. Everything is down there. Everything from the link to my newsletter to stay plugged into what's going on. All of your links for LA, his book, Rungs of Disclosure, everything that he's got is all down in the description box, along with links for the t-shirts that I wear. All the good things are down there, so make sure you don't miss out on that. That's where everything from the show goes, including notes, resources, all the things. And of course, if you guys are feeling led to support what I am doing on this channel, then there are links down in the description box where you can donate to this ministry, along with Superchats now on YouTube, which is pretty cool. I want to thank everybody who has been supporting this channel via prayer or via financial resources. You guys are the reason that this channel is growing so much, and I cannot thank you enough. This is just truly an honor to be able to do all of what I'm doing right now and be able to serve this community and serve people in a general sense as well to get the gospel out. Last but not least, a couple of quick announcements. Vicky Joy Anderson is coming on the show Wednesday. I cannot wait to talk to her. Sleep paralysis, all the crazy things that are going on in that realm. So which kind of ties into seeing LA today. And then Lance and I are going to do an impromptu live tomorrow night. Don't have a time for you yet, but we're going to talk about some of the things that God has done this week, answered prayer on, and just come and talk to you guys about prayer in general and why we focus so hard on making sure that prayer is the most exercised thing in our life. So without further ado, let's bring on one person that I know all of us are excited to see, and that is the one, the only L.A. Marzulli. Thank you for being here, L.A.
Hey, Lauren, thanks for having me on.
You're so welcome. I have been wanting to have you on for a long time. I know when I ran into you at Prophecy Watchers, I mentioned that you had been at one of the churches here in the Washington, Missouri area. You know Pastor Steve Thomas really well. And there was so much going on at that time. And as crazy as it is, I'm very extroverted, but I didn't even want to go up and meet you because you had all these people just like surrounding you and wanting to talk to you. And I was like, well, I'll just wait. But luckily it worked out that 2 years later, I got to actually meet you at Prophecy Watchers. So I'm stoked for you to be here. Let me give you a proper introduction before we dive into this today. So if you guys don't know who L.A. Marzulli is, first of all, you've been living under a rock. Get with the program. You need to know who he is. He has such extensive work as an author, a filmmaker, a researcher in ufology. He knows a ton about the Nephilim, aliens, and of course, the supernatural phenomenon that we are all seeing and that's playing out in our news and everything else. He's got his YouTube channel. He's got his books down below. I've even listed more books than just Rungs of Disclosure. He's got tons of stuff on there, documentaries. If you know him, you know all of his works, but he has all kinds of websites, channels, everything. LA has a very, very, very extensive line of work, and he's been doing this for a very long time. And I think what's crazy about this, LA, is that you know, a lot of people have been considered crazy for believing the things that you talk about. And now it's just becoming everyday, you know, terminology. So it's really cool to have you here. And today what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to dive into the New Age and how this whole spiritual side of that it ties to this narrative and the framework that New Age followers have built around this phenomenon. And most importantly, the biblical perspective on what's really true. So we're going to discuss how all this ties into the rapture and how we believe and we are anxiously awaiting for Jesus to come back, and we believe it soon. So LA, do you have anything you want to say before we get started and even talking about your background and how you got here?
No, that's ancillary. It doesn't matter. Nobody cares. Let's just jump into it.
Sounds good. Okay. Well, so my first question for you is that from hearing you speak and watching a ton of your videos and following your work, I know that you talked about coming out of New Age, and that's one of the things that I think is so fascinating about your journey. So can you walk us through a little bit of that journey? Like essentially what brought you into New Age, like drew you into that? What led you to leave it behind? And let's maybe start there and kind of give the audience some background on that.
I was raised Catholic.
Okay.
At one point as a child, I wanted to become a priest. I was drawn into the whole mystery of Catholicism with robes and candles and incense and bells and all that stuff. And, as a child, like 7 or 8 years old, it's like, this is, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
It's like whatever's going on here is pretty intense. And of course, I have really no idea as a 7, 8, 9-year-old child what I'm looking at. Fast forward to I'm about 12, and I'm studying for confirmation with all the 12-year-olds to confirm into the Catholic Church. We're memorizing all these catechism questions, and the bishop finally comes to St. Monica Parish, Berwyn, Pennsylvania. But this time I think I'm 13 or whatever, 12, 13 years old. And he never asks us a question. It's just like the nuns had pounded this thing into our head for like months. You got to memorize it because we don't want to embarrass the bishop. And so, the bishop comes and he's just this wizened old man. He's just kindly old grandfather type guy. And he doesn't ask us one question. He confirms all of us, Domini, Domini, Domini. And that's it. Well, after that, it was like, huh? And I left the church. The Beatles were there. It's 1963. Beatles are coming up. I'm looking for what's the meaning of life, not finding it anywhere, not understanding what's going on. I was a total Beatle geek, like everybody was. And then from that time to 18, I'm immersed in every occult book I could possibly find. One of my favorites was Carlos Castaneda, The Yaqui Way of Knowledge, with the sorcerer Don Juan, Eric von Daniken books. I also read Hal Lindsey's book, Late Great Planet Earth. All this was happening in that 10-year period from like basically from 13 to 23. And the one incident that flipped everything. When I was 16, I was working at the YMCA in Paoli, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
There was a very, very attractive 14-year-old girl. Her name was Michelle.
Of course, a girl.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really have very little choice in the matter. We're wired this way. It'll get me into 3-hour conversation and all sorts of trouble. So what happens in heaven when we're all in glorified bodies looking the best that we possibly can be?
About that.
And nobody ever wants to go there and talk about it.
Sure.
Don't talk about those things in church, LA. You'll find out soon enough. Just shut up and pay your tithe. So I'm 16, she's 14, and her father is Archie Bunker. I mean, completely. For me to take her out, I used to go. He had this den. He was a hunter. He had stuffed pheasants and deer heads and all this stuff on the wall. And I was 16. I was smoking cigarettes by then.
Okay.
And completely away from the Lord and all this New Age stuff. And he would grill me for like a half an hour. And Michelle would be out in the living room. Dad, let him go. Let him go like this. But I loved Howard. Howard was like a second. I mean, I really loved him.
Mm-hmm.
Great guy. And we went together for 2 years. And along this, there were other, you're just a kid. She's at a different high school than I am. So there was another girl that was there, actually 2 of them. And I was dating those at the same time. I mean, it's not like today where everybody's sleeping around. Nobody was doing that.
Right. At least maybe not publicly announcing it all the time. Maybe that's
the thing, exactly. A whole different number.
Yeah,
so
totally.
When I'm 18, and it's all in my testimony, in the back of the book, Rungs of Disclosure, and we've included that testimony in others. But when I was 18, she's killed in an automobile accident.
Oh wow!
And that's the nexus which turns everything.
Okay.
It's like, okay, what just happened? How did this happen? Why did this happen? If there's a God, why does he allow this to happen? All that kind of stuff. And that led me into a quest to find God, to find some sort of a connection, which led me into the New Age. Because on the East Coast, circa 1969, 1970, there's no Jesus movement out there. Yeah, there's a little one, but not like California.
Right.
Where the whole, Chuck Smith, Calvary Chapel thing is exploding.
Yeah.
East Coast, nothing's going on for the most part. And I remember I lived in this little town, Berwyn, Pennsylvania. I was still living in my parents' house. I was living in the basement, which I promptly turned into a psychedelic dungeon, which is what it was.
Wow. Okay.
Oh yeah. I was deep.
Okay.
In fact, years later, I'll skip ahead. Years later, when my parents were still alive. So my dad passed away in 14. So it's probably circa 2010. So I've been a Christian now for, since 1980. It's 2010. So it's decades. It's 30 years basically.
Yeah.
And I go down to the basement because my dad's got this Nazi flag and helmets and paraphernalia, which, by the way, I really wanted to keep, but he sold them anyway. That's another story. So I go down there, and all of a sudden I'm hit. And I mean, I'm hit with a very evil presence in that basement. Why? Because I opened up doorways in that basement.
Yeah.
And I did the work. I stopped right there. And in the name of Jesus, the blood of a lamb, I renounce all of this. I close the gateway, close the portal. The blood of a lamb is on this spot. It will not continue. It will not manifest. And it was really intense. So, but when Michelle died, I started, what's going on here? And so I'm in Berwyn, Pennsylvania, and I remember going to lunch with my friend, and we see these posters all over town. The God of the universe has come to us today. So I'm going like, well, wow, the God of the universe, who's that? Mm-hmm. And it was about this little boy, 14-year-old boy by the name of Guru Maharaji. And I get the posters. So I think on a Friday night, my friend John had his little VW bug, and we drove down, and we were in this theater someplace, packed, wall-to-wall people, packed, summer night. And I mean, if the fire marshal saw it, everybody be arrested. Okay. People were just in the aisles, just packed wall to wall. And they had this like, this is the days where if you showed up with a guitar and you played a song, you were a rock star. And that's what I'll tell you that story in a little bit. See, you just have to ask this question. Right?
I love it. No, it's great. This is what I love about you. I love it.
So the Guru, this praise band is up there.
Okay.
And they're playing all of these like Indian guru songs. And finally, after like waiting 2 hours, this little guy comes out and he sits on his throne. And you must have this knowledge, because this knowledge is what you need. Without this knowledge, you are never going to find the true God. And I have this knowledge, I alone. You must need a perfect master, someone who is alive to give it. And he's rattling on like this for hours. And so the next day I go down, John didn't come. I go down and I receive knowledge from a Mahatma. We sit in this room for, 6-7 hours. There was a lunch break, but we were there for 6 or 7. And this Mahatma is droning on and on and on about how important the knowledge is. And only the guru can give the knowledge, and only I can give you this. And we're all like, okay, so let me have the knowledge. Right. Finally, around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, he starts dispensing the knowledge. And we're all in lotus position. We're all on the floor. And he comes by and he touches my third eye. Mm-hmm. Boom! Just like that. Just bam! Third eye open, all this unbelievable light. My eyes are closed. Then he shows me how to do the technique. And I'm just sitting here like everybody else. We're all just going, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. So that's the initiation into the occult. And then divine music and divine nectar and the primordial vibration, which is just this word you're supposed to follow your breath. I mean, and I did this for 3 years. I joined the ashram. I cut my hair. I joined the ashram. I started dressing like an Indian guy with a dhoti and the whole deal. I mean, I was in, up to my eyeballs completely. And it would be another 3 or 4 years before I would leave, completely disillusioned, because inside I was the same schmuck I always was. Yeah. Here I am giving up everything. I'm now celibate. I'm with the guru for 3 years. I'm meditating every day. I'm getting up at 5 o'clock. I'm working for the guru. I'm doing all this stuff. And I'm the same schmuck I always was. Nothing changed. And the reason for that is because you can meditate till the cows come home. It never touches your sin nature. There's only one. That's the God-man, Jesus Christ.
Preach.
Who touches our sin nature. That's it.
Preach. Come on. Yeah.
That's it. That's the whole work of the cross. That's the Shroud of Turin right there.
Yeah.
And when we come to him, we give our life to him. That sin nature is finally opened up. Everything's at the cross and we are forgiven. That's liberation.
Yeah.
So you can sit there and you can, I've talked to people that have, attained enlightenment and all this other stuff. And I go, yeah, but you're going to die in your sins.
Yeah.
And they shut her back. What do you mean? What do you mean? Well, you're a sinner. You've been angry. You've lied. You hate people. The list is endless. You're a sinner, and I'm a sinner. And the only reason why I'm saved by grace. I'm saved by the work of the cross, but the God-man, fully God, fully man, Jesus, Yeshua, the Lord of the universe, who spoke, by the way, everything into existence.
That's right.
Nothing that was made was not made. So there you go.
Wow. Okay. So did you do like astral projection? Were you messing with like astrology and all of those types of things too when you were in the occult and in New Age?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I didn't actually know all of that about the guru. I didn't know any of that about your story.
Lauren, I was deep into it. I mean,
Wow.
I astral projected. I had spirit guides.
Okay.
I mean, spirit guides.
Yeah.
I had all sorts of
demon guides, right?
Demon guides.
Yeah.
And all sorts of crazy stuff happened. And then from like 18 to, well, the guru is like really from 19 to 20 to 23, 24. I'm in the ashram. And to circle back to the story about it, anybody with a guitar, this is how it worked.
Okay.
So the guru is looking for a synthesizer player for his brother's 56-piece orchestra.
Okay.
So I get wind of this. I don't have a synthesizer. So I'm in New York City at the ashram in New York City, and I have a guitar, and I had played this song one other time before. It's just me with a guitar. Okay. And I play the song, the whole place goes nuts. All the girls are dancing. Everybody's, worshiping the guru, blah, 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 blah.
Wow.
And I raised something like $5,000 or $6,000. And at first they didn't want to give it to me. Remember, this is 1990. So no, not 90, excuse me. This is 1970.
Okay.
Yes, I gotta get my years straight.
That's all right. That's
19,
right.
Before you were born, Lauren.
Yes, it was before I was born.
Grandpa. So,
yes, Grandpa LA. That's right.
Thank you. So, they wouldn't give it to me at first. They were really reticent. I said, guys, this was for me to buy the synthesizer and go over to England. And next thing I know, I bought the synthesizer for $3,000. It was a lot of money back then. Mm-hmm. And I flew to England and joined the Guru's orchestra. And I was with them. I actually wrote and arranged for a 56-piece orchestra. So from that standpoint, it was incredible. I mean, I was writing all these big band jazz charts. They weren't like, Indian songs. They were big band, like boom, ba ba boom, boom, ba boom. And like the head is ba da do da do da do da do 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 ba ba. I mean, you have to hear it with all the trumpets and trombones doing it, and the sax players. It was big band jazz charts.
Yeah,
I loved it.
Yeah.
It was really, really fun. And I finally left and became an agnostic for between 25 and 30. Then I started reading books. I was always a voracious reader. Just read constantly. But I didn't want anything to do with God. Okay. I'm done with God. God doesn't exist. Leave me alone. Had it up to here, And I was doing vision quests at the time, and still kind of looking. But so someone gives me this book by Dave Hunt, The Cult Explosion, and I'm reading the book by Dave Hunt. I'm going, oh yeah, I looked into that. Oh yeah, I was there. Oh yeah, I did this. Oh yeah, I know about him. Just check. Nothing was new. It was just like a review of all the New Age practices, the cult explosion, hence the title of the book. And at the back of the book, there's this little prayer to give your life to Jesus. And there's no, I get in so much trouble with my impersonations. It's just, I'm sorry.
Listen, everybody on this channel, I like to have a good time. We talk about serious subjects. If people can't laugh, they shouldn't be here. So they all know that. They all know you're fine. You're in good company here.
Anyway, it's just like the come to Jesus moment. But there's no preacher. I'm not watching some guy on TV or some preacher going, now, if you just give your life to Jesus, give your life to Jesus right now. Everything is going to, that whole deal. And it's like, there's nobody doing that.
Okay.
I'm just reading this little book, and I say the prayer, and it's like, if you're real, come into my life.
Okay.
My life's a wreck.
Yeah.
I've tried everything. If you're real, come into my life. And I wait. Look around.
You're like looking around for waiting.
Nothing happens.
All right.
A month later, I wake up from a very, very troublesome dream, and it's like the dam has broken.
Okay.
And that was it. And then about 2 weeks, I'm living with this woman. We're not married. And about 2 weeks after that, the Lord begins to take me, here's me, out of the kingdom of darkness. And they don't want to let me go.
I bet they don't. They had a
And
clutch on you. Yeah.
yeah, that was spiritual warfare. That lasted 3 years. When I went to work a few days later, and I came back, I'm in my new studio. The studio where I'm at was at one point a guest house that I had built when I was 25 years old.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm living in the guest house that I built. And when I came back from work that day, she stripped the whole place clean. Everything was gone. The bed, the furniture, everything was gone. She had planned it. She just got out of there because she thought I was flipping out. And I was. And so I slept on the floor that night with a blanket. And the next day I went to work, and the guy I was working for was throwing out almost a brand new king size bed. So I dragged the mattress up in my truck, and that night I had a mattress to sleep on. But within 24 hours after that first initial shock, I had Wayne Kendall and Pastor Fred Nicholas within 24 hours. Both of them were my mentors for the next 2 to 3 years.
Okay.
And,
I don't actually know who they are. How did you meet them, or who are they? People, maybe older generation might know who they are, but I don't.
Wayne Kendall came from a mutual friend.
Uh-huh.
And I called Wayne, and I probably spoke to him for probably 2 hours that first night on the phone.
Wow.
And then he became a mentor. We worked together.
Mm-hmm.
He was down on his luck, and we worked together. And we worked together for about 2 years, and then an incident happened, and we split. Pastor Fred, that name was given to me by someone who my ex-girlfriend had called, and you need to go see Pastor Fred. And he was the same age as my dad. And I went in and I dropped every F-bomb I possibly could every 10 to 15 seconds. I mean, I had a mouth.
That's where you're at. I understand. I've been there.
I mean, I had a mouth on me like you wouldn't believe.
Yep.
Every other word was, I saw yesterday I went skiing, right?
Okay.
So there's a guy, we're waiting to go in. There's a young kid. He's like, 24, 25. And I looked at him and I'm going, yep, that's me when I was your age. I can't really, I haven't mastered the English language. So we're using every explicit of the late we possibly can.
It's amazing how many can get strung in a sentence, isn't it?
It's incredible. This guy was a master. Yeah. He was a master. But, that was the beginning of 3 years of very intense supernatural spiritual warfare. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't wish that on anybody. I mean, it was no fun to go through.
Yeah. When you were going through some of that, and then I'll go ahead and move forward in our outline, but when you were going through some of that, were you still in a place, LA, where you were questioning, like, is this Jesus guy real? Am I just a part of something else that I can't overcome this stuff? Or were you just knew?
No, I was reading the Bible. I couldn't get enough of the Bible. Every time the church was open, I was there. I was counseling with Pastor Fred twice a week. Wow. We started our own Bible study with Wayne as our teacher. We had about 15 people over for a little home Bible study, not affiliated with any church. I mean, I was hook, line, and sinker. And of course, my parents were looking at this going, oh, here's the latest phase, right? Because, I've been to Woodstock and rock and roll bands and gurus. And I mean, my life was a complete disaster. I mean, a walking train wreck. Okay. And once I found him, that was it. I mean, I used to go to sleep leaning up with a Bible clutched to my chest.
Wow. Because you were scared to go to sleep, or just Absolutely. Because you were just
terrified? Oh, wow. Remember one time going to sleep, I heard, rah! Like that. Just like that.
So you are being tormented. Like these demons completely. Legitimately did not want you to go. Like,
no, and he still doesn't. And see, the thing is, here I am doing what I'm doing now. Let me. A friend of mine sent me this yesterday. I want to read it to you real quick.
Read it. Go for it. I know the audience has to be loving this. This is why people love you, LA. Right here.
Where is it? Why can't I find this? Oh, hold on.
You're good. Take your time.
Bob.
How's the chat doing? Hope everybody's doing good in the chat. I forgot to mention it while LA is finding this. Keegan is taking questions today, so y'all can throw your questions down there. She'll be keeping them, and we'll have some for LA at the end as we keep going. So drop them down there.
Well, for whatever reason, I can't seem to find it. But basically, it says, God takes a nobody and makes him somebody.
That's right.
If you had told me, 45 years ago, this June, that I'd be doing what I'm doing now, I've written 14 books. There's 30 films. There's a corpus of work. I'm working on another book. My new business partner, Gil Zimmerman, and I are working on the Shroud of Turin film.
Yes.
That's coming out probably by the end of the month, not February, probably end of March.
Okay.
By the way, this is what his face looks like.
Would you want to come on and talk about this? Because I'm fascinated with the Shroud of Turin. I actually think it's Jesus. Maybe we can play in I believe it.
Oh, there's no doubt. That really is. Right there.
I know, yeah. Would you come on maybe at another time and we can actually just dive into some of that? I would love that.
Yeah,
okay, cool. All right. Okay. Well, let me jump ahead. So one of the reasons I wanted to talk about this, LA, is because I do know a lot of people who are in New Age. They're really dabbling in a lot of things. I work with a lot of people right now at Roadhouse that are messing with occult practices. They're all into spiritualism, wear all the crystals. They do all the things. And I know why they're doing it. They're looking for meaning. They're looking for answers. Like, I think their hearts are genuine and pure. Exactly. I don't think a lot of people go into New Age or get into the occult thinking, I'm going to be on the dark side of this. I think they're looking for help.
Absolutely.
So here's my question. One of the popular beliefs in the New Age community is this starseed theory. Can you explain what that theory is and how it kind of ties into the supernatural narrative that we're going to get into and why people want to gravitate towards that?
Yeah, the starseed theory is the idea that we were seeded here, that there are some people that are mixed, that the seed of the sky gods, of the star people, are mixing their seed with human women. That's how it works, and creating star child babies, and we get this. There's some kids, but look at the parents; they're completely steeped up to their eyeballs in New Age stuff, so they're letting stuff in. Who knows what came in, right? Mm-hmm. So the whole star seed thing, it's real, and there are people who are walking around saying, and I've talked to some of them. I mean, I've had discussions. I talked to a woman who claimed she was an Arcturian. That was an interesting discussion.
Okay, I watched your video with, I think her name is Marina Serene. Is that how you pronounce her name? That was fascinating watching.
Yeah,
her.
It was fascinating.
Yeah,
and you'll notice the moment I started talking about prophecy and Jesus,
it was like, yeah, man, she was ready to go. She was ready to bolt. Okay.
Yeah. So we need to pray for her and others of her ilk.
Yeah.
But that's what deception is. I mean, I was deceived. I was a follower of the guru. My third eye was open. I had spirit eyes, the whole 9 yards. But there's only one God, and his name is Jesus.
That's right.
That's it. And I know that's incredibly narrow-minded, Ola. Yeah, but it's the truth. It's like,
the people can hate it, right? But it sure don't change it. That's the way it is, and there's absolute truth. It's not subjective. Okay, so before we kind of dive into some of your research on UFOs and spiritual warfare, I want to take everybody back to the beginning, and that is the Bible verse where everything hinges from, which is Genesis 3:15. And I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. He shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel. Can you unpack the supernatural significance of this verse and how it establishes the framework for understanding the ongoing war that is from Genesis through the book of Revelation?
Yeah, it is. Let me turn the heater on. It's getting a little chilly in here.
You're good.
Lauren, hold on.
No worries. I need actually.
And I owe this to Gary Stearman.
Yes.
Gary was the one that unpacked it years ago in the Amateur of a Nephilim conference.
Yep.
If you were going to keep one scripture from people and almost do it deliberately, you keep Genesis 3:15. Because that's the whole Bible.
It is.
That is absolutely the gateway to the biblical prophetic narrative. And without knowing that, a person has no idea what's going on. So whose seed are we talking about? The offspring? Because that's what it says. The offspring of a dragon, the offspring of Satan will be at war with the offspring of the woman. You can tap dance around that till the cows come home, but that's what it says. Yes, Satan can procreate. Fallen angels can procreate. Don't ask me how, but they're able to do it because why? The pre-incarnate Jesus is in the garden telling, these guys, telling the dragon and Adam and Eve, this is the deal.
Mm-hmm.
The one coming from the woman, the proto-evangelion, the Messiah, will crush the dragon's head. You will bruise his heel. 3 chapters later, you get the flood of Noah.
Yep.
So go back 45 years. I'm a brand new born-again, spirit-filled Christian. And I get to here and I go, wait, time out. Hold on now.
Right.
You know, who is this God of the Old Testament wiping out the entire planet? What the heck did they do that was so bad? No one had an answer.
Yep. I know.
No.
And a lot of people think God is a tyrant because they read
There
the
you
Old
go.
Testament. He wiped out people. And this is exactly what we were talking about last week. Lee Brainerd was on the show. We were talking a little bit about the
He's
thread of the
great.
Nephilim. Yeah, we love Lee. And we were talking about the black thread of the Nephilim that's weaved in. And I'm like, man, if people just understood Genesis 6, they would know God is not a tyrant. He wiped out genes that were mingled. He wiped out mingled genes. That's what it was about, because they were Satan was out to destroy us so that we couldn't be redeemed. That's what it's about. And so it's so frustrating that people don't get this narrative because they're missing everything.
Well, they're not taught that.
No, I wasn't either.
The pastors in seminary are not taught that.
I know it.
So this is why the whole church, most of it, remains ignorant.
Yep.
Ignorant and arrogant. They think they know, but they don't know. It's a seed war.
That's
and
right.
why would Jesus warn us to be like the days of Noah when he returns? I mean, out of all the Tanakh, out of all the Old Testament, he says that?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously? And people go, well, the days of Noah, people were eating and drinking. And no. They were eating and drinking. Who were they?
Mm-hmm.
It's not men. Not men. It's the Nephilim. It's the fallen angels that have come down and doing the unthinkable.
Yep.
And that's the deal. People don't understand it. And then you jump to Daniel 2:43. They're seed living with the seed of men, but they will not cleave to them. I mean, it's all there, and it's screaming at us, literally screaming at us. It's a seed war. Thank you, Gary Sturman. It's a seed war, and they are doing exactly what they did in the days of Noah, right here in modernity. This is why we published Karen Wilkinson's book, Stolen Seed, Evil Harvest. I mean, where is it? It's right here somewhere. Yeah, here it is. We published her book. She was an abductee.
Yep.
She'd been taken numerous times. And there it is, stolen seed, evil harvest. I mean, I'm not making this up. No. And some people go, oh, wait, what does this have to do with salvation? It has nothing to do with salvation. This is the deep end of the pool. This is what this is, the deep end of the pool.
Yep.
And this is for people who are already born again and have walked with the Lord and understand the nature of spiritual warfare, and now are looking at eschatology, end times, prophetic words, and connecting the dots, dovetailing all those pieces together, and realizing that the whole UFO phenomena is the coming great deception.
It is.
There it is.
Yep, it is. Okay, so it's my personal belief that if somebody doesn't grasp the supernatural element of Genesis 3:15, they're honestly going to struggle to fully understand Genesis 6. And from that, the entire biblical narrative from Genesis through Revelation and eschatology and spiritual warfare. So my question for you is, what are your thoughts on how the seed war helps us piece together the full biblical timeline, including the rapture, the tribulation, and the rise of supernatural spiritualism in the end times like we're seeing now?
Well, their seed will mingle with the seed of men will be like the days of Noah when I return. Men will faint from fear from what's coming upon the earth. Even the elect would be deceived if that were possible. Then you throw Paul's little tidbits into the great cosmic blender. Satan comes with all signs of lying wonders. I mean, seriously, you really think this is going to be a picnic? It's not. It's very, very intense. Very intense. And when he comes to earth, he knows his time is short. Michael and his angels fight with the devil and his angels. Satan is cast to earth, and he knows his time is short because this is it. We're not here yet. There's somebody running around trying to, I won't mention the guy's name, but trying to tell us that Nephilim are clowns, look like clowns, and that we're already in the millennium, and now this is Satan's little time. It's such nonsense.
Oh, Satan's little season.
Yeah, Satan's little season.
Yes,
right? But it's how come that's taking off, right? How come that's taking off? How come that's getting legs? And this is not Satan's little season, folks. We're not at the end of the millennium.
No.
The millennium has never happened.
No.
We came through 1,000 years of dark ages, where if you read the Bible, you were killed. If you translated the Bible like Tyndale, you were burned at the stake. That's not the millennium the last time I checked.
No, and the
So,
millennium is a literal 1,000 year timeline
1,000
with
year time.
Jesus ruling and reigning. It's
Yeah.
clear all throughout the
And
Old
last time I
Testament. Yeah.
checked, he wasn't in
Hey,
Jerusalem ruling and reigning.
no, no.
Sorry.
Yep. And Satan hasn't been bound for 1,000 years either. Nope.
No,
Ain't
not
happened.
gonna happen. So I mean, but this is the kind of nonsense that's out there.
I know. And it's
And
gaining a lot of traction.
a lot of traction. I'm glad we're pushing back. And then this gentleman who wants to talk about this, he's welcome to come on my show, probably your show, and debate it. We are not in the millennium.
Mm-mm.
We are approaching the tribulation.
You
We're
got
not
it.
in the tribulation either, but
Right,
we're
right.
approaching it. These certainly are the birth pangs.
Yep.
And Israel, people, I get some nasty emails from people sometimes,
I understood.
right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Because the anti-Semites are alive and well,
Yeah.
and the hatred of Israel. Why do they hate Israel? Why do
Oh,
they hate the Jew? Because Messiah came
I
from
was
there.
going to say, well, I think it's because Jesus was born out of that lineage. Am I right
There
or
you
wrong?
go.
Yeah. Okay.
That's funny thing happened, right?
Right.
So that's what we're looking at, and we are in a window of time where all this is beginning to ramp up.
Yep.
It's full speed.
Yep.
And with that, the coming great deception, which of course is the whole UFO revealing of the UFO phenomena, which segues me into, rungs of
Disclosure. Yes. Okay. So we've kind of laid the groundwork for the big piece of our conversation. And now what I want to do is connect this UFO phenomenon. So from your research, what do you believe these entities are doing right now? And how does this connect to the idea of a modern day seed war for us?
Well, when you go to 1945, you get the explosion of Nagasaki and Hiroshima.
Yep.
Then you get 47, you get the Roswell incident. By the way, we have 2 films on Roswell. I'll segue here. So 47, why Roswell? Because the 509th bombing group, the exact bombing group that dropped the 2 bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, right? They're there in Roswell, New Mexico. Mm-hmm. So we have 2 films on Roswell, Exoneration, where we exonerate the Marcel name, and in the debris field. I want to thank my business partner, Gil Zimmerman, and our good friend Chuck Sikowski, who enabled us to go, along with Frank Kimbler, to the debris field with metal detectors, and we got 2 pieces of a debris. That's what it looks like. That's
yes. Yeah. Okay, yes, I've seen this. Go ahead. Keep going. Yeah.
That's in the palm of my hand.
Mm-hmm.
And Chuck just gave me another piece of the metal, which I have in the main house in a little vial, and we will be testing that at Seal Lab in the not too distant future, and filming all that along with the results. So 45 Nagasaki, Hiroshima, 47 the Roswell incident, 48 Israel becomes a nation.
Yep.
The entire UFO phenomenon as we know it takes off.
It does. Mm-hmm.
Takes off right from there and goes full speed. We get crop circles,
yep.
We get abductions, we get cattle mutilations, we get sightings all over the place. Everything happens from 48. Why? Because this is the end time clock. Hal Lindsey talked about it, the Great Lake Planet Earth, decades ago. Hal's no longer with us. He just passed away fairly recently.
He did.
But what a pioneer.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, look, Lauren, I'll be 75 this year.
Yeah, you're in such good shape, dude.
No.
You are. My husband and I are into fitness, and we're like, man, LA is spry. You're in good shape. You are. You take care of yourself.
Well, I work out,
we know.
Yeah. I mean, I try to work out at least twice a week. And, I'm a skier and whatever. But, it's just, I look around and Chuck Missler's gone. My former business partner, Richard Shaw, is gone. Michael Heiser is gone.
I know.
Rob Skiba is gone.
I know.
There's
I love
a clip.
Rob. Yeah.
I mean, it just goes on and on. Russ Dizdar is gone.
Mm-hmm.
One of my tightest friends, homie, battle buddy. I mean, all this is like, I don't know how many days I have left. I don't want to be morbid about it, but my hand's on the plow because, he's raised me up for a time such as this.
That's right.
And we're the only ministry, Christian ministry, Gil Zimmerman and I, we have 10 books on the whole UFO disclosure thing. I mean, we're the only people who have it. Nobody else has done this work. Actually, out in the field, actually out to the debris field, finding pieces of metal. There's a lot of talkers out there, but you got to get out of a library. You got to, how many abductees have you talked to? And it's one thing to say, well, at the name of Jesus, we've got 600 people that we've interviewed, and maybe that's true. I don't know. I'm not going to disparage anybody. I find those numbers a little inflated, but the bottom line is there's a physicality to this whole phenomena.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, please don't tell us that it's all demonic delusion.
Right. No, it's
It's
not.
not.
I think don't you use the term, I think I have it in my agenda here later, but don't you use the term meat suits? I feel like you say they have meat suits.
Karen Wilkinson and I talked about that, meat suits. The
Mhm.
grays are avatars. The grays are avatars. I mean, this phenomenon is real. What crashed in Roswell was not a weather balloon. People can
Right.
believe what they want to believe. Believe the other side of the aisle. If you believe there's no physicality to the phenomena, believe for you. Believe what you want to believe. But I have a right to believe what I believe without being disparaged and have hit pieces written against me, which has happened, in years prior to where we are now. But the overwhelming evidence is that there is a breeding program going on. And this is why, for those who believe that there's no physicality, then explain to me Genesis 2:43. Explain to me. I'm sorry, Daniel 2:43. Explain Genesis 3:15. Explain Genesis 6. Explain the fact that Jesus points to the days of Noah. How can it be like the days of Noah? Because there's a mixing of the seed. That's exactly what we see with the hybrids going on. Hybrids are walking amongst us. So that's why we have our films. We go out and we actually go to places, talk to people, get them on film. On our film, on our abductions, there's 2 men and 2 women. So there's four people, all who have been taken. Sperm from the men, ovum from the women, all of them. They've been abused all their life. So what bothers me about the non-physicality is you shatter their testimony. You're basically calling them a liar. Well, you really weren't taken aboard the ship. Excuse me, I was taken aboard the ship.
Yeah, and their experiences are also similar. I think that's what's wild about it.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? It's like,
same thing.
yeah, it's unbelievable, and to see, and again, that's what's. I mean, even Bob Lazar was made out to be like he was some crazy person for all these years, and I'm sure you've obviously experienced that yourself in all of the work that you've done.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it's amazing
absolutely.
to me how this narrative now is coming to light. That, oh, by the way, we've been keeping this a secret from you guys for a while, but it's true. And it's like, man, where do you guys get that vindication that you need? Because you've been doing this for so long, proving that this is actually what's been going on.
Well, and this is what's sort of annoying, it's like with the whole Nephilim and the whole UFO thing, and they converge.
Yeah.
They absolutely converge.
Yes.
And we've been to a lot of different places. We're working in post-production on number 9, On the Trail of a Nephilim film, which to me is a mind blower because we discovered some things that no one on the planet has ever seen before. No one has ever discovered this. We've linked some things, and we'll show that once we get the film finished. But here's the deal: the phenomenon is real, burgeoning, and not going away. There's a physicality. I remember when I started talking about implants. This is circa 2001, 2002, and I was, once again, people were lots of darts, lots of nasty things being said, and then my late business partner Richard Shaw and I found Emil. Emil came to us, and Dr. Roger Lear came to us. I knew Roger before I had teamed up with Richard Shaw. And we removed the implant on film from Emil. And we had the implant tested. That's hard science. Not
was this
making
the guy?
stuff up.
Was this the guy with the one in the knee that you guys actually had to pray for it to come forward because it disappeared? Can you share that a little bit in case people haven't heard? That's a phenomenal story.
We did an X-ray of this is all in the film. I think it's Watchers 7 and 8. You can go again, streaming.lamarzulli.net, streaming.lamarzulli.net. For $5, you can watch the film. Cheaper than Netflix, folks.
Yeah.
So
better for your brain.
Emil came to us. Hey, I've been abducted. I have an implant. Oh, really? We called Dr. Roger. We bring Emil over. It's all in the film. And I'm 30 pounds heavier than I am now. Before I got the wake-up call. Hello. And I'm waddling down the sidewalk, and Emil's next to me. He's 7 feet tall, former basketball player.
Oh, my gosh.
And we go to Dr. Roger Laird. We get the X-ray. Hey, guess what? You got a little piece of metal right below your right knee. There's the implant. It's got it. We take a Gauss meter, goes through the roof. It's letting off a radio frequency. He gets a CAT scan. There's the implant. There's no entry wound to where the implant is. No entry wound. How did that happen? Finally, we take him over to Dr. Matriciani's office where we're going to perform the surgery, and he takes the ultrasound, the wand to the ultrasound, and he goes like this. Oh yeah. Oh, there it is. Oh yeah. We'll have this out in a jiffy. We'll see you in 2 weeks. 2 weeks later go by. So Dr. Roger Lear is assisting with Dr. Matriciani, who's the surgeon. Richard Shaw and I are there. We got camera crews. We got a big, huge monitor in a waiting room where people are watching the proceedings. Emil's on the operating table, pant leg rolled up, and Dr. Matriciani for an hour and 20 minutes does this.
Oh my gosh, and it's not there.
Not there. He finally, on film, he turns to Dr. Roger and he goes, maybe we should get another x-ray. And Roger goes, no, we know exactly where it is. We found it 2 weeks ago. It's here. So at this moment in time, the Holy Spirit taps me on the shoulder. LA, you need to take authority over this and do it now. So I look at Rick and I go, okay, this is going to sound really weird. I'm in a room full of non-believers, except for Richard Shaw. And I go, it's going to sound really weird, but I'm going to pray and I'm going to do it now. And I didn't wait for, go ahead, LA, go ahead and pray. We give it 2 thumbs up. None of that happened. I just went and did it.
Yep.
And I said, okay, guys, this is going to sound strange, but I'm going to pray and I'm going to do it now. Father, if there are forces which are cloaking this device, I pray that you would break them and do it soon. Lauren, that implant came out from the back of a screen where you couldn't see it to about 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes after I prayed that prayer and went like this, right in front of the screen.
Wow.
And everybody goes, wow, what's that? And Dr. Matriciani goes, that's the implant. And then he takes the wand and he goes like this and he looks at the wand from the ultrasound. He puts it, oh, there's the implant. He looks at it again. He can't figure out what's going on. That's on a Saturday. On Monday, and we took the implant out. So it's all in film. Yep. Here's the incision. Here's we pry it apart. Here's the implant. Looks like a little grain of rice. Now we're slowly peeling it back. Now we remove it. I'm not making this up.
Right.
All of our critics completely went, crickets.
I bet they did.
Not a word.
I bet.
Not a word. And I believe these implants, because there's an evolution of them, these are the mark of the beast.
Okay. Well, and that jives with some of the stuff that, we talk about on this channel all the time with where the technology's going, with all the mRNA. We got to be careful what words we say, but all of that. Yeah. So that jives. Okay. So let's dive into a little bit more with the Nephilim and kind of the extra dimensional realm. So earlier we touched on the topic of what the starseed theory is within the New Age movement and how it kind of ties into that deeper discussion. So what I want to do is dive in regarding the aliens and the deceptive narratives that are in New Age and the ultimate purpose in using these narratives. So from your research, LA, it's long pointed to the idea that these entities are not extraterrestrial, but rather they're interdimensional. Can you share some of the proofs and evidence that you've uncovered that confirm that these are interdimensional, there we go, in nature?
Well, I mean, can I prove that? No, I can't. I mean, I can't prove it conclusively, but all I know is that these entities manipulate space, time, matter, and energy.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, instead of telling us Jesus isn't God, you're coming. This was actually written in my very first book in the Nephilim trilogy. It was a fictional work.
Yeah.
So one of the characters in the book goes, well, why come here? Why come millions of miles to tell us that Jesus wasn't God? Seriously? I mean, why not give us the cure to cancer? And I raised that up. If these guys were so smart and so loving and benevolent, why not
save
give
humanity?
Us the cure to cancer?
Yeah, exactly right.
But they never do. They rape men and women. They take little 5-year-old boys and implant them like they did with Emil, because he was 45 when we took out his implant.
Oh, wow.
45. Al Matthews, one of the other man in the abduction film. They took him when he was 5, abducted countless times. And he's in his car, and his car is being lowered down from the ship in a great white ball of light, right? He said, and I'm shaking. He's like this. His whole body is shaking. He soiled himself, wet his pants. He's been violated, and the car hits the road, and the car drives by itself. Wow. So you're going to tell Al that didn't happen,
right?
And when he gets home, he crawls into bed. He takes a shower, crawls into bed, curls up in a fetal position, and goes, "Why me? Why is this happening?"
Well, and then Karen, I know a lot about her
Same
story
thing.
again, just
Right.
from listening to you guys' videos and things of that nature. She's been taken several times, and if I'm not mistaken, this is Karen who she was pregnant and then the baby was gone. Like there's a whole story there with her. Would you share a little bit about that?
Well, this is our research. This is why it's so important. You've got to look at the evidence. You've got to go talk to people.
Mhm.
And we did. We have two films. One, well, we got 10 films in the whole UFO package. One of those that we've been talking about includes Karen Wilkinson and Al Matthews and Emil Jurek. All three people we've already mentioned. They've all been taken. They are all abductees. They have been taken. And for those on the other side of the aisle, our Christian brothers and sisters who don't believe that there's any physicality to this thing, think again, because you're
Mhm.
doing a great disservice to the body of Christ, in my opinion. Of course, they can flip that argument and say, I'm doing a great disservice by talking about the physicality. How do you explain cattle mutilations? Oh, that's a government psyop job. No, it's not. Don't quit lying to us. Have you been to the ranch? Have you talked to Rancher Miller like we did? It's number 6 in our UFO film series. Talk to Rancher Miller about the 16 cattle that were mutilated on his property in 20 years. No helicopters. He's got 1,400 acres. There's no secret team going out there, but there's lights in the sky. And it's not a helicopter, it's not a plane, it's not this. And you come down in the morning and there's the cow, drained of blood, udders taken, sex organs cored out, flesh around the jaw, eye gone, ear missing. The fear factor, it's an 8. It's an 8 on a 10-point scale. And he's only doing that because he has nowhere to go. If he says 10, now what, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what we did in our film, for the first time ever, we are the only team that I'm aware of, that's my caveat, that we're aware of that's ever connected the dots. Women like Karen, stolen seed evil harvest, she was impregnated 3 times by them. Angela is the fourth person who comes in on the abduction phenomenon, which is number 4 in the whole UFO film series. Angela was pregnant, and they floated her out of the room into the ship, and the baby's gone. And she's on film. And she goes, I saw the heartbeat. There's the heartbeat. And she goes to the OBGYN, no fetal tissue, no heartbeat. So this is what we connected. We put the cattle mutilations and the abduction phenomena like this. What most people don't know, and we broke the story in regards to the whole UFO cattle mutilation hybrid program that's going on. Days of Noah, their seed will mingle with the seed of men, but they will not cleave to them. The word cleave is the same word we get in marriage. I got that from my friend Jim Williamson. No cleaving, no marriage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Latter days would be like the days of Noah. Here we are. If you understand the seed war, all this goes like this. If you don't understand the seed war, you never get there. If you're a new ager, you never understand it because you don't understand the seed war, because you don't believe in the biblical prophetic narrative. So the blood from a cow can be used interchangeably in a human blood transfusion.
Yeah. Wow.
So when a woman is pregnated by these guys, in the 3rd month of her pregnancy, she's reabducted, and that hybrid fetus is taken from her womb and placed into an artificial womb that's created from the mutilated cow. That's what all this is about. Now, that's conjecture.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
But it's based on decades of research and connecting the dots.
Yeah. Man, wow. It's just fascinating. So there's this narrative even within the new age movement that kind of divides like these alien species, if you will, into 2 different types. And what I've kind of seen and heard is like the grays and the Nords, right?
Right.
So the story is like the evil grays are going to come down and then the benevolent Nords are going to come to save humanity from them. Can you talk a little bit about how this deceptive narrative ties into the bigger agenda and confusion of what's going on?
Well, I actually write about this in the Cosmic Chess, Cosmic Chess Match, in Runs of Disclosure, because when they show up, everything changes.
Yeah.
When they finally show up our whole life just in a nanosecond. Everything shifts and shifts very, very quickly, very, very quickly. What we're looking at is this good cop, bad cop scenario.
Mm-hmm.
And the grays are just meat suits for the demons. Okay, let's walk through it. And I've got another 15 minutes and then I got to go.
Okay.
So you've got fallen angels marrying human women, taking wives, copulating with them, mixing the seed of a fallen angel and a human woman. That's a 3-hour conversation, creating a hybrid known as the Nephilim. During the flood, the Nephilim are wiped out. When they're wiped out, the disembodied spirits of a Nephilim, because the body is killed in the flood, become the demons that wander the earth. And a demon has to inhabit a person or an animal or an object in order to manifest.
Right.
Now, there's good theologians that disagree with that. That's fine. They say fallen angels and demons are one and the same. My opinion, they are absolutely are not. Mm-hmm. And if you don't understand that much, you don't understand what's going on, because the demons wander the earth looking for something to inhabit. So the dragon knows that, and he creates the avatar, the meat suit, the grays, which is what they are. The grays have no sex organs. They don't eat anything as we know it. They don't speak. They don't have a mouth. They got a little slit for a mouth, and no sex organs. And what are they? They're very weak. They're the meat suits. They're avatars for the demons to inhabit. Why does that sound? Oh, this is the stuff of science fiction. I totally get it. Mm-hmm. It is the stuff of science fiction, but that's what the supernatural is about. Yep. So the Nordics are what they appear like when they want to win somebody over.
Yep.
They appear with the blonde hair. Let me see can I share my screen with you?
I don't know what it looks like on your end of I've never been on the other end of the stream as like a participant. Okay. So I don't know what buttons you have.
Well, I don't see a share. Oh, there it is. Share. Hold on.
Yeah. See if you can. If you can, go ahead.
Well, let me see if it says. Okay, hold on. No.
You can't. Okay. Yeah.
It just says share your stream, so we don't want to do that.
Okay.
So, chat, video, settings. Let me just try here. No.
Yeah, I don't know how to share a screen on the other end. I only know how to do it on my end.
Yeah, because what I could do is I could show you this family had game trail cameras.
Oh, with the Nord, I've seen that on one of your videos. You know what? I'll just link that one in the description box because I know I've seen it. Okay.
And well, you really do your homework.
I do.
Really
it's fascinating. Yeah.
And so the Nordic, like a Nordic, appears.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it knows it's being photographed. Mm-hmm. It looks right at the camera.
Yeah.
And it's got pointed ears. It's 46 degrees, and it's wearing an open collared shirt. I mean, seriously, this is not a hoax. When you show it to people, and this is what I mean. Some people are just so, anesthetized to what's going on. They're asleep. Like yesterday when I went skiing, this is your generation and younger. They're all waiting in a line. They're all on their goofy cell phones.
No, I know. Yeah.
I mean, it's an addiction.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem with this is we're not, this isn't reality anymore. Mm-hmm. So I'm driving home from a ski slope, and this idiot lady in a little Honda is like this, two hands doing 50 miles an hour because the traffic was kind of slow, but she's got both thumbs working and she's driving like this. I'm going like, this woman's going to kill somebody.
Yeah.
It's not good. Lauren, it's not good.
No, I agree. I think we've got a couple of questions because I know you're short on time today. So I am waiting for those to come over, but I want to ask if you've got a couple minutes with us. One thing while I'm waiting for those to come in is that this quote I wanted to mention, and I know you actually have a tract that you have now on it, but Barbara Marciniak, who is, one of the channelers and she's one of the channels aliens from the Pleiades Society. She wrote in her book, Bringers of the Dawn, the people who have left the planet during the Earth During the time of Earth's changes do not fit here any longer. They are stopping the harmony of Earth. When that time comes that perhaps 20 million people leave the planet one at a time, there will be a tremendous shift in consciousness of those who are remaining. And it's wild to me that that is quoted in a New Age book, because that is explaining away the rapture right there. And it's just simply, it's exactly what it is.
Lauren, I heard that 50 years ago, 50, when I was in the New Age, that not from her, but from other people.
Right.
So it's a very common deal. And I want to make something really clear. We're not trying to disparage Barbara Marciniak in any way.
No, of course not.
You know, we're just quoting what's in her book. We don't believe that, but she's explaining what's on your t-shirt, her pazzo, the snatching away. And for those of you, and I was just on a show, I did my own show right before, and I was yelling and screaming at the camera. They often do sometimes.
I do too. I understand. I do too. Yeah. You're in good company.
But I said, you know, why is it that if I hear this one more time, I'm going to scream? Darby, you know, invented the rapture.
I got a whole series on that. Yeah.
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't.
All Darby did, like I did, he had access to the scriptures. Because what people don't realize is until Gutenberg, 1400s, mid 1400s, you couldn't read the Bible.
No, I know. You had to rely on a priest and right.
When Tyndale publishes the Bible in English, he's promptly burned at the stake.
I know.
So that's where we are.
I know.
Hello. And all Darby did was sit with the scriptures and let them speak to him.
Yeah.
And this is what it says. For the Lord himself will descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel. The dead in Christ will rise first. Then we who are alive and remain, that's us, will be caught up. Harpazo. Caught up. Harpazo. There's where it is. Caught up together with those where in the clouds to greet the Lord in the air and forevermore be with the Lord. We're not making this up.
No.
So Darby didn't make anything up, but like me with the Nephilim in Genesis 3:15 and Genesis 6 and all of our work, you know, you could say that, and I'm out on a limb here a little bit. I stand on the shoulders of Gary Stearman and Dr. I.D.E. Thomas, Chuck Missler. But then from there, we were the ones who took all this information and ran with it. And all these megalithic structures that we see, we tie it back to Nephilim architecture, fallen angel technology. That's why our On the Trail of a Nephilim film and On the Trail of a Nephilim book. See, folks, I keep pulling all these resources out. And this is why you got to do your homework.
Yeah, because
it's $12. Okay, don't buy the book.
But
the rest of your life, I don't care.
Exactly, that's the thing. You can't go over all of this in a 1 hour show or whatever. There's just so much data to comb through, and I know people kill me with that.
14 books and 30 films.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, and we're all over the map today.
Yeah,
but On the Trail of a Nephilim links, and I call all these sites fallen angel technology, Nephilim architecture. It's just like when you go to America's Stonehenge, Native Americans didn't do that.
No,
sorry.
No.
When you go to the Great Circle Mound, the Octagon Mound, we have a whole film coming out on this year. Sorry, I'm not being a racist here, but First Nation people did not build this. Why? Because we know when the first white settlers came into the area and they saw these artifacts and they said, well, who built this? And First Nation people go, we don't know. It was here when we got here.
Yep. All right, let's go through a couple questions. So I want to be respectful of your time. So first one from Keegan. What are both of your thoughts on the possibility of the Antichrist being Nephilim, possibly even Satan's own child? And also, what are both of your thoughts on the army of 200 million in Revelation 9:16-19? Could they be using the breeding program to create a Nephilim, for an army? I do think the Antichrist will be a hybrid. I absolutely think that. And I definitely think that the Nephilim will be used during that time as well as an army. Yeah.
You know the way the occult and the dark side always telegraphs it?
Right.
They telegraphed it with the film Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah.
There it is. They're already telling you exactly what's going on.
That's exactly right. And they always do. Yeah.
They always do. They have to.
All right. So from Ryan, LA, what are your thoughts on interdimensionality and Jesus being the anchor of existence? So the creation, advent of Christ, the judgment are immutable events, but angels can traverse to be where when needed. And do you believe the Indiana Jones series is a soft disclosure programming? I know you got some big old questions today, LA.
So read that whole thing again slower, please.
Okay. Yes, I talk fast. I apologize. LA, what are your thoughts on interdimensionality and Jesus being the anchor of existence? So the creation / advent of Christ / the judgment are immutable events, but angels can traverse to be when, where needed. That's the first part.
I think angels can go back and forth through time. They're not all knowing, but they can see things. This is why when Jesus cast out the demons from the man of the tombs, and they say, what have you to do with us, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? Here's the kicker. Have you come to torment us before the time?
Yeah.
Have you come to torment us before the time? How do they know that the time is not the time that they are in now, where Jesus is not the time of their torment? They know because it doesn't look anything like it, the way it looks now. Jesus holds all things together. He's before all things, and he holds all things together. Lananin, that little shape of the cross thing that's in everything. Yes. Without that, everything falls apart. Think about that. So when Jesus returns to earth and the armies of heaven are with him, riding on white horses, dressed in fine linen, white and clean.
Yeah, I know. We're going to be there. That's us.
We're there.
That's right. And then he said,
we're not lopping heads off.
No.
Like Lord of the Rings.
No.
That sharp sword comes out of Jesus's mouth. He just stops holding everybody together. They bleed out. Mm-hmm. They bleed out. There's your blood up to the horse's bridle.
That's right. Okay. And his second part of that question was, do you believe the Indiana Jones series is a soft disclosure / programming? I love those films, by the way.
Which Indiana Jones soft disclosure one? Which?
Ryan, you weren't specific. I don't know if we have enough time to go through that because I want to get to these questions since he's got to go. So drop that one in there and we'll save it for next time. Okay. So from Ron, for LA, do you think Bigfoot is the Nephilim and part of the strong delusion for evolution after the rapture and will be in full view at that point?
When you're out in the woods and you're all alone and you suddenly see a large footprint, you may be indeed of a cryptozoologist. So, Bigfoot is a Nephilim. Yep. You'll notice that from the Gimli Patterson film decades ago to the present day, sightings have gone through the roof. Mm-hmm. The work of our good friend Ron Moorhead talks about seeing a 27-inch footprint and following it. They can pop in, they can pop out. These are, in my opinion, the therium, the beasts of the earth. And to quote our good friend of the show and our good battle buddy who passed away, Russ Dizdar, the therion, the beasts of the earth, are not hamsters and giraffes. So what are they? What are we looking at? They are Bigfoot. They are Sasquatch.
Yep, absolutely. Okay. And then from Pete from Rev 310, you probably know Pete Garcia, LA. So he says, LA, do you think there will be Yeah, he's in the chat. He's always in the chat here.
How are you, bro?
He said, LA, do you think there will be an actual revealing of these beings in an undeniable way before the rapture or just after?
That's speculation. I keep saying, we go up.
They show up. Down, that's right.
We go up. And, I got this from Mondo Gonzalez and Jeff Van Hatten. When Elisha, the prophet, goes up, Elijah watches him. When Elijah goes up, Elisha watches Elijah go up.
He does. Yeah, he does. Yeah.
He goes up. 500 people see him go up. We know it's at least the apostles. The Marys have to be there. Marys aren't going to miss that.
No.
So how many people were there? 100? 500, who knows? But they watch him go up. Mm-hmm. And it's not like poof, he's going up slowly into the clouds. Mm-hmm. I mean, and my goofy teenage humor kicks in. Does he wave one last time?
I will.
Does
he try to tell y'all. Yeah, try to tell y'all. Right.
I mean, what does he do? I mean, he's fully God and fully man. Mm-hmm. So there's that side of him which goes, oh, they're going to love this. And he starts flapping his arms. I mean, I don't know.
Right.
I'd love to see the film of that. But they watch Jesus go up. Finally, when the two witnesses are killed, their bodies lay on the streets of Jerusalem for 3 days, they're resurrected. The whole world watches them do what? Go up where? Into the clouds. Mm-hmm. The Lord himself will descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel. The dead in Christ will rise first. For you who are alive and remain will be caught up. Where? In the clouds. We're in the clouds with him. So I think it's like we go up, they come down. There could be a pause. And this goes to, Barbara Marciniak's thing that it's right there. Some people will leave the planet. She's saying 20 million.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree.
They've already explained it away.
Yeah, they have. They have. All right. So, from Panther Gal 73, LA, what do you think of the noises being heard under the Euphrates River? Have you heard or seen any of that?
I've heard it. You can't vet it. I mean, anybody can write anything.
Yeah,
Let's go to Antarctica and see the Nazi base. You can go to Antarctica. You can go to where New Schwabenland was, and there's still lots of stuff there to see in the summer. Something's funky about Antarctica. There's no doubt about that. But how funky and what is it? I don't know. So speculation. Anybody can say anything on the internet. Voices underneath the Euphrates River. I've heard that, but I take things like that, put it on the back burner. I know about it, but you can't really run with it because you don't know.
Yeah, and I haven't gone to vet it myself, so it's like, yeah, I can't say anything. Yeah. Okay, some people that aren't very headstrong don't believe in demons. Does the Bible clearly state that demons are? I don't know if I'm missing part of that question because it doesn't make any sense to me. Oh, does the Bible state what demons clearly are? Maybe that's what he's trying to say.
Well, the Bible never states that the demons are the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim, but the book of Enoch does. And of course, again, if you're going to keep one book away from the people, don't read the book of Enoch.
I know. People freak out about it. We know it's not canon. We don't have to go over that argument every time it's brought up, people, but it is a great historical book.
Great historical book. And the deal is, why is Jude quoting it?
Right. I know. I know it's a fabulous question that a lot of people don't like to answer.
Quoting it, more than likely, Jesus read the book too.
Yeah, it was well known in that time.
Just saying.
Yeah. Okay. We got two more. So I think this person is referring to the people who have been abducted. So in other words, they're asking, so what's the answer? Why them? Is it because they're unsaved that opens them up to abduction, or are there other doors that need to be opened or have been opened?
This is a very complex answer.
Okay.
Some of it has to do with the blood type, which is Rh negative.
Okay.
There seems to be a preponderance of people who are abducted with Rh negative blood. Why? Maybe, conjecture on my part, maybe the Rh negative blood is easier for them to create a hybrid being.
Okay.
That's conjecture, but that's what I think it is.
Okay. And final one, do you think this is proof of demonic possession? I had an impromptu visit with a guy I had known since kindergarten. When speaking face to face, his pupils went vertical. He is a heroin addict. Yeah,
he's got something in him, no doubt. That's demon possession. When the pupils go like that, that's, and if he's a heroin addict, what's the guy's name, does she say?
No.
Well, we lift this guy up in the name of Jesus, and we ask that freedom would happen to him in some way, and that you would take that thing that's inside of him and get it out of him, and that you would free him from the clutches of heroin in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Seal the southern border.
Yeah. Well, LA, I know that you have to go, but this has been so awesome. I would love to have you back on to get into more discussions. I know this topic is so broad and you can go 1,000 different ways with it, but man, thank you so much for being on. And everybody else. Yeah, it was a pleasure. I definitely want to do it again and talk about the Shroud of Turin too. I know that you've got so much research there.
Let's set something up.
Okay, sounds good.
By the way, you are one of the best interviewers that's ever, you really are, because you do your homework.
Thank you. Don't make my face red on here.
and you're really sharp. So thank you for your expertise.
Thank you so much. I geek out on this, and the Lord has just opened up doors for me to start this channel, and man, I'm running with it because I firmly believe time is very short, and I got a lot of friends I want to see make the rapture. So it's, it's very important to me, and I want to help them tie together the things that I think are just right now. Like, it's never been an easier time to witness and to tell people like Jesus is real. Like if you don't decide that you're going to allow him to pay for your sins, you'll be paying for him for yourself. And the rapture is getting ready to happen. And this is going to be the worst 7 years after we go up and they show up. It's going to get real bad. And you don't want to be here. So, well, guys, you know the drill. I always say this after every show, but keep your eye on the sky and keep your ears listening for that shofar. We will see y'all in the next one. And LA, thanks again for being here.
Thank you, Lauren. God bless you.